Hey everybody, it's Mr. Katz. Just this video is basically a review of something you've already learned, but just in case you are having trouble on it again, you really need to know this. And remember, you are going to have a quiz on this in the next class. So first of all, this is all about percent change. When things go up or down by a percent, you have to know two things. One, how to figure out the answer, and two, how would you write an equation to find out other answers that have to do with the same exact problem. So I'm going to give you basically, I'm going to go through an example. We're going to give you a problem. I'm going to go through an example, and we're going to kind of go through that through this entire video. And please, I'm going to go quick, but please rewind, watch the video as many times as you want. Some of you are only going to have to watch it once. Some of you might have to watch it a couple times. So basically, if you had $50, and by the way, you can do this. It doesn't have to be money that you relate percents to, but I just, for lack of coming up with a good example, you could percents always, money is always something that goes up and down by percents. So I'm using money in all these examples, but you would do the same thing as if this were 50 jelly beans or 50 whatever, fill in the blank. So $50, there is a 40% increase. Couple things, there are two ways that you have to know how to be able to do this problem, okay? And you get the same answer. First of all, if there's a 40% increase, one way that you can do this problem is basically if you take a percent of a number, you get an answer. So if you wanted to know if there's a 40% increase and you wanted to just find 40% of a number, you can do 50 times 0.40. And when you do 50 times 0.40, you get 20, I believe. Yep. And what that is, though, is you just found out 40% of $50, but it's an increase of 40%. So you would have to add this to the original amount of 50, and you get an answer of $70. Well, you could do the same thing. How I do this problem is instead of finding out 40%, if there's a 40% increase, that's 40% over the 100% that it already is. So the $50 is already at 100%. You're going to go 40% over that. So what I think about is that is 140%, 40% over the total. And 140% is the decimal 1.4. 1.4, because remember 100% is the decimal 1, 40% is 0.40, and that's how you get 1.4. If you multiply 101.4 times the total, you actually get right to $70 right away. So notice in this one, you had to find 40% and then still add it on. But if you add it on in the beginning, you get the same answer. Now, well, how would you relate this? Like, let's just say you didn't know the amount. Let's just say it was X dollars, but there was a 40% increase. So if you're relating this to an equation, or actually I'll just use an expression. An expression, if there's a 40% increase, you can take the amount that you started with and add 0.40 times X, because it's 40% of X, which you have to add on to the original X. Or you can take, if you do it the other way, the way on the right, you could just do 1.4 times X. Both of these will get you the same answer. And obviously X plus 0.40X is 1.4X anyway. So that's a way that you can get the answer either way. So for an example problem, why don't you guys do, let me go ahead and make a new page, insert page after. Okay, so say there was we'll say there you have made $70, but there is we'll say 30% increase. Okay, go ahead and get us the answer. And then also, I'm going to ask you to also, what would be the equation? What two things? And remember, there's going to be multiple answers because there's different ways you can write the equation, but what two ways could you write the equation for this same problem in order to get an answer? Okay. So in this case, I'm not using X. we're going to keep with the $70. So the next problem, $50, there's a 30% decrease. Very similar to the first problem that we did. Basically, again, there's two ways to do this. You can either take what is 30% of 50. So you can take the 30% and you can multiply 30% of $50. And when you do 50 times 30 times 0.3, you get 15. But remember, that's just the 30%. So if there's a 30% decrease, you still have to subtract this $15 from the 50. And 50 minus 15 will get you your final answer, which would be $35. Well, remember, there's another way that you can do the same problem. Instead of finding 30% and then decreasing it, you can actually just decrease it from the beginning. If you're decreasing something 30%, that would mean it's 100% minus 30%, which would get you 70%. Well, 70% as a decimal is 0.7 or 0.70. Either way is the same thing. So if you multiply 0.70 times the $50, you will right away get that $35 you got with the other one, except you're not going to have to then subtract it. If something is 30% off, then it still is 70% of what it was, which is why you can multiply. So again, the two ways you can write the equation, you can either say, $50 minus 30% of $50. Now remember, if we don't know the cost, then the 50s would just become X. Or you can do just 50 times 0.7. Either way, you're going to get the same exact answer. Okay. So now go ahead and do this problem. And please remember, rewind if you're not sure how to do it. We'll say something is $20 and it decreases a percentage. We're going to say decreases, we're going to say 15%. What's the new price? And also, what are the two equations that you could have used to get that answer? Now, next, sometimes within the world of mathematics, in real life, you're asked to find a percentage. Sometimes if I have a class size and it goes up from year to year, this isn't this example, but say I had a class size of 30 and the next year it's 33 students. I might go to the principal and say, hey, you increased it this percent. And it's a good argument because when you talk about percentages, it lets them know exactly how much did it increase. Well, basically, if you ever want to know a percent increase or decrease, you do it the same way. There's a formula. So in this case, I'm not telling you the percent. I'm asking you what percent did it go up or down. So if it goes from 400 to 900, that would mean that there's a percent that it increased. So what I'd like to know is what was the change? Basically, how much did it change? An actual number, okay? And then you're going to divide that by the original amount. So in this problem, if it goes from 400 to 900, okay, I actually know that this answer is going to be over 100% because 100% is 400. That's the original 100%. That's the total. But in this case, it actually changed $500. To go from 400 to 900, it changed $500. The original amount was 400. And if you do 500 divided by 400, you get an answer of 1.25. I think you get an answer of 1.25. Let me just double check. Yep. Now, that's the decimal version. That's not the percent version. So just a reminder, to get the percent, you just have to multiply by 100. But I kind of know, remember we said before 1.0 is 100%. So this, either you could kind of figure out that 1.25 is 125%, or you could just multiply it by 100 and get 125. So this signifies a 100% increase. And to show you that the other way, let me turn this around. Say that you went from 33 to 30. So now my class size decreased. Well, to know the percent that it decreased, I'm still going to take the change. The change was 3 students. Okay, it either goes up or down, but it still went down 3 students. In this case, and the original one was 33. And when you divide 3 divided by 33, you get 0.09 repeating, which if you multiply by 100, you get that is about, it's about 9%, okay, because it's 0.090. So it's about 9%. So this signifies a 9% decrease, okay? Now, for your purposes, go ahead and I'm just going to erase this real quick, and I'm just going to put the problem right here at the bottom. Oh, it doesn't look like I'm going to do. There we go. All right. So let's say another teacher's, and I'm not going to have you do this, but please remember to always indicate whether it's an increased percentage or decreased percentage. And that just, is it going up or is it going down? But I'm going to tell you that this is going to be an increase. Say you went from $40 to $63. What percent is that as an increase? Next problem. All right. So this is very similar to the one that we just did before. And I just wanted to make sure you understand that when something is on sale, you go to a store and something is on sale, well, that's technically just a percent decrease. So if something is $40 and there's a 30% sale on the item, how much does it cost now? We're pretty much going to do what we did before. So you have two different ways to do this. You can either do $40 times 30% and get what is 30%, and then make sure you subtract it. So 40 minus 40 times 0.30, that would get you an answer. Or I like to do it this way. I like to think if something is 30% off of the price, that means that you're only going to be paying 100% minus 30%. You're only paying 70% of it. So if you do $40 times 0.70, you're going to get the final price, which would be $28. And if you did 40 minus 40 times 0.30, when you did 0.30, 40 times 0.30, you're going to actually get $12. And when you do 40 minus the $12, you'll still get that $28. So it's a matter of if you want to take off the percentage in the beginning or take off the price at the end. You still get the same answer. Okay. Go ahead now, and I'm just going to write this problem up at the top. What if something, you went to a store and something was $55 and you noticed that it was on sale for, we're going to say 40% off? What is the price of the item? And the last type of problem that we got to remind you of is, when you have equations, we've been using the formula, basically a percent times the total will get you your new answer or the part of it, okay? Well, sometimes you have to read the question carefully because sometimes it'll say something like, okay, something was $60, but that was after an 8% increase. So we're not saying that it's $60 to start with. We're saying after you did the 8% increase, it became $60. So you have to be careful. What was the original price? We're still going to use the same kind of concept. The first thing is if you do an 8% increase, remember that means it was 100% plus an extra 8%, which means you're dealing with 108%. Well, remember what decimal? You can't multiply by the percent. You have to convert it to a decimal. So if you're thinking about this in an equation, 108% is 1.08, which you're going to multiply by an original amount, the total, but we don't know what the original amount was. So I'm just going to put an X right here because we don't know what it was. But we know that after we were done multiplying it by 1.08, after we put on the 8%, we got an answer of $60. Okay? So now all this becomes is a one-step equation. We have to cancel out the times 1.08 by dividing both sides by 1.08. And 60 divided by 1.08 gets us an answer of 55.5 repeating, which is about $56. So we can say the original price, which makes sense because the original price is going to be lower than $60 because this was before it increased 8%. So I would say, I would be okay with you saying $55.56 because if it's 555, the 5 makes the last 5 go up 1. But whatever, you could say you could have put the bar notation on it as long as it was money. Okay. And so let me give you one more based on this. So let's say that you had $40 and something was $40 after a 30% discount. How much did it cost originally? So just in case you weren't sure, in case this one I will do for you, in case you got this wrong. So remember, that means that something was a 30% discount. So you were only paying 70% of what it was, but you don't know what the original amount was, but after that discount, it was $40. So if you solve this equation by dividing by 0.70 on both sides, or 0.7, and you do 40 divided by 0.7, you get an answer of $57 and about $57.14. So this was originally $57.14. After the 30% discount, it was then $40. Okay, hope that helps. And please watch this video as many times as you need to practice it and make sure you understand the concepts.